Hi, and welcome to this new presentation about the MIDOG 2025 challenge. This time I will be talking about the Docker submission to track number 2 of the MIDOG challenge, which is about atypical mitotic figure classification. Let's get right into it. To recap the task briefly, the track of the challenge in this track, the track number 2 in particular, is about a binary classification problem. The classification of verified mitotic figures into normal and atypical ones. This is how the Docker submission process works. You first have to build your inference pipeline like you would for any machine learning task. Then you have to embed it into a Dockerized pipeline which we provide, meeting specific input and output format requirements. Finally, you upload the Docker container to Grand Challenge for evaluation on the test set. The task of your container in this track, in track number 2, will be to run inference on a stack of maximum 16 images, each centered around a mitotic figure and being 128 by 128 pixels in size. Your container will have to classify each of the images in the stack and provide a class and probability information in JSON format. We performed stacking of the images since Grand Challenge will run a container independently for each data instance. This includes firing up the container, loading the model, etc. Hence, this is quite inefficient for a simple classification task of small patches like in our challenge. Each container run produces a list of classification results which will be then collected by Grand Challenge. Next, those results are being fed into an evaluation container, which knows the ground truth and thus can calculate those metrics that we need. For example, balanced accuracy, which is the leading metric in this track, or the area under the receiver operating characteristic curve. Now, how you can all imagine that is that let's take this stack of images, and for each stack we do a classification, and for each we get a probability for normal and a probability for atypical. Now, in this challenge, we actually want you to yield the atypical probability as the output together with the classification decision, for example, normal or the other option, atypical, as you see in the example on the right-hand side. This will typically be a stack of size 16, but of course not always, since the dataset is not divisible by 16 in its number. All right, as you can also see, it's JSON format, so it's nothing really spectacularly happening here. To help you get started, we again provide a template with the baseline algorithm. For this track, the baseline was prepared by Shweta Banerjee of my group. The baseline is an efficient NetV2-based classifier that was trained on the MIDOG 2025 atypical official training set, which you can find on Zenodo or elsewhere. We provide this information on our website. You can find all of this and a step-by-step instruction on how to submit in the GitHub repository. There is also a link in the video description below. Finally, a note about account verification. In order to successfully submit to the challenge, you need to have an account verified by Grand Challenge. This is done in order to avoid multiple accounts by individuals and hence to ensure fairness. Be reminded that the validation of your account might take several days, especially if not being linked to an educational email address. Now, this is the process depicted in a nutshell. Embedding your algorithm into a reference Docker pipeline, then creating an algorithm entry on Grand Challenge. Once that is done, you can start uploading your container image there. This is this tar.gz file. It is not mandatory to provide the model independently, as this is now possible on Grand Challenge, but it's not required here in this context. Finally, before submitting your algorithm to the challenge, test it. Test your algorithm on example images that we provide in the repository. A final thing that you should know about the challenge is that we do require a short paper detailing your algorithmic work together with the final submission. There is a URL that you have to enter here for the preprint. It needs to be on a publicly available preprint server, so any of the common ones will do, archive, bioarchive, and so on. And we do not accept private file hosting such as Google Drive or your own website, as this does not ensure long-time availability. Right, I think that's it for now. If you have any questions, if you have any problems that you run into, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. The easiest way of doing so is reaching out to us on our Discord server. The link to that is also in the description below. Have a fantastic challenge. Have a lot of fun. See you on the workshop. Bye bye.